Lovely good evening to you all today, the 15th of September 2023. To present Camnet Television Main News, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. The top stories in the news tonight: intra-party wrangles deepen in PF as SAMPA and his supporters storm the party secretariat. 27 people arrested as MUMBWA riots spread to ITEZHI district. Emerin Kawanshi begins to serve her 2-year jail sentence. In international news, death toll reaches 11,300 in Libya floods. And in sports news, Power DYNAMOS coach MWENYA CHIPEPO confident ahead of SIMBA face-off.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RANGLES, your smart irrigation partner.
Hello again, the news in detail. Lusaka district has a deficit of between 8,000 and 9,000 desks to meet the presidential directive of ensuring that no pupil sits on the floor by December 2023. Lusaka District Education Board Secretary Ian Miyoba says the district has received funding for the exercise for desks from the central government and the Constituency Development Fund CDF to meet the deficit. Meanwhile, Mr. Miyoba has warned against examination malpractices in the district as junior and secondary examinations commence in October. More in the following report.
Lusaka District Education Board Secretary Ian Miyoba says the district is well on course to attain the presidential directive of ensuring that no pupil sits on the floor by December 31st. President Hakainde Hichilema late last year directed authorities to ensure that no pupil sits on the floor by December 2023. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Ian Miyoba says arrangements are underway to ensure the presidential directive is met.
All schools in Lusaka district have taken their frames at ZEPU and also at Science Center, where desks are being repaired and being rehabilitated. Government as well has released money for the DEBs to rehabilitate other desks that are not in good shape.
Mr. Miyoba says Lusaka currently has a deficit of about 9,000 desks.
You will appreciate that CDF, where was it? This time CDF is doing a great job, that every school is receiving colossal number of desks. As a district, we are remaining with a deficit of 8,000-9,000, which will get over by the end of December.
Meanwhile, Mr. Miyoba has cautioned against malpractice in the district as examinations commence for grade 7, junior and secondary schools in October.
Very soon, by the end of September, we'll go into oath-taking so that we swear in the officers that are going to administer the exam. Remember, ECZ has built a great name around the region in terms of exams. So we don't expect that name that ECZ has built for Zambia and Africa as a whole must be destroyed by negligence and not paying attention to the guidelines that are stipulated.
For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
The Zambia Road Safety Trust is concerned with a lack of infrastructure on most roads in the country, especially in school areas. Zambia Road Safety Trust Programs Manager Miles Mwale says this has contributed to the increasing number of accidents being witnessed in the country. Earlier this week, 4 people, of whom 3 pupils died, while 1 survived with injuries in a road traffic accident that occurred in the Ibex Hill area of Lusaka. More in this report.
Traffic signs at school crossings increase safety by providing clear and visible information to drivers. Signs such as school crossing or stop for pedestrians help remind drivers to slow down and be alert for children crossing the road. However, this is not the case in most roads, especially in school areas. Zambia Road Safety Trust Programs Manager Mairo Mwale is concerned with lack of road infrastructure on most roads in the country.
Zambia Road Safety Trust, we are really concerned about the staggering numbers of road traffic accidents, which are happening almost every day in this country. And that the statistics are so worrying, okay? The statistics are so worrying, and if you look at the statistics for last year, more than 2,000 people, I think, were really killed, but with the trend and what is happening. However, this is also attributed to the lack of signage or to say road furniture in most of the public roads, especially those public roads where we see a lot of schools, okay? So signage can actually save lives, because road signage or road furniture communicates to motorists at what point should they slow down.
Mr. Mwale pedestrian walkways to safeguard lives.
Road signage are not in existence. If there is a road sign showing zebra crossing, but physically you find that it's not there. So we are just appealing to the local authority, the Lusaka City Council, who are mandated to ensure that we see road marking on our road, because that way it's going to be, road markings will be able to be communicating to motorists where they need to slow down, they'll slow down. Where they need to give chance to other road users. And not only the road signage, also want to see a lot of pedestrian walkway, okay, being constructed just to separate motorists. And if you look at the recent tragedy that we experienced, where we lost 3 young people, because they were also fighting with vehicles on the same space.
Just 2 days ago, 4 lives were lost, among them 3 school-going children, in an accident in Lusaka's Ibex area. Could lack of proper road infrastructure really be the cause of accidents that happen on average every week? Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Southern African Center for the Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOD, is urging President Hakainde Hichilema and his Zimbabwean counterpart Emmerson Mnangagwa to call for calm and restraint among their followers following the recent exchange of words from both sides. SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe says the current situation between Zambia and Zimbabwe calls for leadership and hopes the 2 heads of states will soon meet and resolve the matter amicably. More in this report.
The ruling United Party for National Development UPND members on the Copperbelt province staged a march past in Ndola to protest over the negative remarks issued against President Hakainde Hichilema by a Zimbabwean politician Patrick Chinamasa. Mr. Chinamasa, the ruling ZANU-PF Treasurer General, allegedly accused President Hakainde Hichilema of working with the West to instigate regime change in Zimbabwe. The irate UPND members marched from the UPND Ndola district office through the town center to Copperbelt Province Minister Elisha Matambo's office, where they presented their petition against Mr. Chinamasa.
People truly said they killed President Mwanawasa, and now they are going for President Hakainde Hichilema. And for sure, I found that on the social media. That's why I also agreed to come so that you bring this petition. I have also read that Patrick Chinamasa and Lutando have agreed themselves that they participated in killing President Mwanawasa.
But Southern African Center for Constructive Resolution of Disputes, SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe, has condemned the exchange of words between supporters of both sides.
We would want to appeal to the citizens of the Republic of Zambia to remain calm and exercise restraint. And we would also like to make a similar appeal to the citizens of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Differences will always arise, and when they do, especially when politics are involved, it is important that our political leaders show leadership and ensure that our people or citizens are kept in check, and that it does not lead to any acts of violence, as it were.
Mr. Chembe has called on both President Hakainde Hichilema and his counterpart Emmerson Mnangagwa to meet and resolve the differences amicably.
Hakainde Hichilema and also to President Emmerson Mnangagwa to find the time, sit down and address whatever perceptions, right or wrong, that may be out there as regards to the conduct of our leaders. And we trust that once they sit down and iron out those issues, it becomes a lot easier for their followers to be able to toe the line.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The recent MUMBWA riots and looting have spread to ITEZHI district in southern province, targeting properties suspected to belong to one of the two mob justice victims who were killed in MUMBWA. Zambia Police Service has since arrested 27 people and recovered about 200 bags of maize from homes in the riots that occurred Thursday night at the depot alleged to belong to Mr. Yakaipa. ITEZHI District Member of Parliament Twambo Mutinta has condemned the riots, urging residents to desist from acts of violence.
The members of the public in ITEZHI to be law-abiding citizens. What occurred yesterday is something which is very unfortunate and which should be condemned by all the well-meaning Zambians. As you may be aware, the community members yesterday, they looted a maize depot that belongs to a man called Mr. Chikarara, but alleged to belong to Mr. Yakaipa, the businessman from Kaoma, who was killed recently in MUMBWA. The police was overpowered. As you may be aware, the police do not have a vehicle, and the number of police officers are quite limited. We are happy that Zambia Police responded very quick by mobilizing officers from Choma, Namale, and MUMBWA to reinforce our team there. And in the joint operation which was executed last night, about 27 suspects have been arrested, and the police was able to recover about 200 bags of maize. This is very unfortunate. The most important thing is that no life, no property was lost, but we continue to appeal to the members of the public to desist from such acts of criminality. And I want to mention that the security wing will continue doing the operations house by house, and all those who will be found with anything connected to what happened last night, they will be brought to book.
The opposition All People's Congress, APC, claims that authorities are contributing to lawlessness happening in the country. APC leader Nelson Musoni insinuates that the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Office of the Inspector General of Police are contributing to the unraveling of lawlessness in the country by withdrawing officers and deploying them to arrest political leaders. Musoni says most of the police officers are withdrawn from their usual respective stations to pursue and arrest opposition leaders. The APC leader noted that the withdrawal of police officers from their usual respective stations to pursue and arrest opposition leaders is being done at the expense of the communities where the police officers are supposed to be serving.
The problem is with government. We think that the government is to blame because policemen are mobilized at short notice to pursue just one politician. Just to go and arrest one politician, they're going to mobilize so much equipment, so much personnel. In the end, you deprive communities of police officers. The net effect that the few police officers who remain manning those police stations cannot contain situations, okay? Because most of the policemen are withdrawn to beef up the number of police officers who are just going to apprehend one opposition leader or pursuing opposition leader. So we think that the Ministry of Home Affairs has got its act wrong. We can't continue this trajectory that you have so many policemen pursuing opposition leaders. If they're not pursuing opposition leaders, then they're escorting a politician to the airport. Now, these policemen should be allowed to pursue criminals in their respective communities. Okay? We have enough policemen who can be effective to police in various communities, to carry out their duties in various communities where they are posted. Now, the downside or the downfall of this is that these policemen are withdrawn or mobilized to go and pursue opposition leaders, or either they are escorting a politician in droves through the detriment of policing in communities. So, the events in MUMBWA could have been avoided if we had enough policemen.
Confusion ensued at the Patriotic Front PF Secretariat Friday afternoon as Matero Member of Parliament Miles SAMPA protested the appointment of Raphael Nakachinda as the party's Secretary General. Mr. SAMPA says the appointment of Mr. Nakachinda is against the party constitution, which provides for an elective convention. Earlier on Friday, former PF Secretary General Davis Mwela officially handed over the position to Mr. Nakachinda, which Mr. SAMPA is challenging. Meanwhile, Mr. SAMPA has advised former President Edgar Lungu to remain in his retirement, saying those advising him to come back are not being honest with him. More in this report.
Confusion continues to engulf the former ruling party, Patriotic Front, as Matero Member of Parliament, Miles SAMPA, protested the appointment of Raphael Nakachinda as Party Secretary General. Early on Friday, former PF Secretary General Davis Mwela officially handed over his position to the newly appointed Raphael Nakachinda.
One of the main things that led to our loss in 2021 was indiscipline by some of our cadres. And your number one challenge is to ensure that there is discipline in the party, meaning all those who involve themselves in indiscipline and violence do not belong to this new PF. The key to the success of PF in 2026 is discipline.
The only thing I can say is that on behalf of the Zambian people, the Zambians are placing a huge call on us because the suffering they are going through, they can't wait for the day that they need to express themselves through the ballot, and PF must be prepared. So for everybody, I think our biggest project is winning power in 2026. Oh, okay.
This has not gone well with Miles SAMPA, who feels the appointment is against the party constitution.
This party, PF, has no president. President Lungu resigned on his own. Has no SG. Davis Mwela resigned on his own. And has no acting president. There is no provision for acting president in PF constitution. So the only solution, we are to general conference, only the people that we elect, that will choose the SG of the party. So once our masqueraders, my jackers, and will not allow them.
The Matero MP, who came with a youthful support and with firewood at the party secretariat, says he will sleep there until a convention is held. On the other hand, Mr. SAMPA has advised former President Edgar Lungu to remain in his retirement, saying those advising him are not being honest with him.
Brother Edgar Lungu, who I respect so much because he's older than me, is that my brother, God gave you 7 years. From 2015 to 2021, you served your time, you did your part. There's something we can point at that you did, the roads, the flyover, no one can take that from you. Zambians love you as the former president. Me, I love you as a former president. But not to come back. Not to come back and be a president of Zambia. What are you going to do that you didn't do in 7 years?
2 years after the retirement of its party leader, Edgar Lungu, the country's biggest opposition party, Patriotic Front's future remains uncertain. With such kinds of internal wrangles still at play, we can only wonder when the biggest opposition political party will begin to play its role of providing checks and balances to the party in government.
until kwaba by election kukabwe ngani kuisa iyena kulala padia.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
And in reaction, PF Information and Publicity Chairperson Emmanuel Mwamba says Miles Sampa's actions are illegal and the damage to property will be borne by him.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to especially members of the Patriotic Front. I am outside the country and I've just been alerted to activities occurring and happening at the party secretariat. Here is our brief statement. The action by Honorable Miles Sampa, who's a member of the Central Committee appointed by Honorable Given Lubinda, who is also taken the party to court, who's also taken Honorable Given Lubinda and Honorable Nixon Chilangwa to court, has stormed the party secretariat. He's got a horde of party cadres, some youths, and is conducting a mini rally at the party secretariat. Let us be very, very clear. These actions are totally illegal. The damage they are doing to the party, the damage they are doing to party infrastructure, the gate they broke down and the windows they are breaking down, and their attempt to go into the offices of the Patriotic Front, party secretariat, are illegal, and we must make it very, very clear. And the damage that they are doing will be borne by Honorable Miles Sampa. The Patriotic Front is not a party of lawlessness. It's not a party of thugs. I think there's been great attempt to reform the party, rebrand it, and bring a new type of politics. The type of politics that Honorable Miles Sampa has displayed today are regrettable, and they will not go without punishment.
The Lusaka Magistrates Court has dismissed the case where Socialist Party leader Fred Membe dragged the Inspector General of Police Grafael Musamba to court for libel. Magistrate Crispin Hapungani has thrown out the case following the decline by the Director of Public Prosecutions to grant the opposition leader authority to prosecute the matter through private prosecutors. In this case, Dr. Membe had lodged a complaint against the IG in the subordinate court for defamation, alleging that the IG claimed he was to cause anarchy in the country. And speaking shortly after his case, Dr. Membe says the outcome of the case sets a bad precedent.
His desire to have the Inspector General of Police Grafael Musamba undergo trial on defamation allegation has fallen off after the Lusaka Magistrate Court this morning, Friday, the 15th of September 2023, dismissed Socialist Party leader Fred Membe's case against the IG. The dismissal of the case comes after the Director of Public Prosecution declined to grant Dr. Membe the authority to have the case prosecuted. His lawyers, however, say they will try other avenues available as they feel there is an abrogation in the execution of justice.
It's quite unfortunate that the DPP made such a decision, and we are yet to explore other means that will see justice. They are saying they are promoting the rule of law as a new dawn and everything, but we are not seeing that happening. We are not seeing that happening. The matter has been dismissed. We are yet to appreciate the ruling by the Honorable Court, and we will sit down as the legal team and come up with a formidable reason, and we'll move forward, and the media will get hold of what we will discuss.
The opposition leader says the outcome of the case sets a bad precedent.
No one should be above the law. The IG has no immunity. It's only the president who has got immunity. Nobody else. Even the vice president doesn't have the immunity. If the vice president commits a crime, she can come into these courts. If the chief justice commits a crime, he can come into these courts. If the speaker commits a crime, she can come into these courts. They don't have the immunity. It's only the president who has got immunity from prosecution. And the law must treat us equally, regardless of our status. What public interest is there not to prosecute an IG who has committed a crime? What public interest is there, other than abuse of the law?
In this case, Dr. Membe had lodged a complaint against the Inspector General of Police, Grafel SAMPA, before the Lusaka Magistrate Court, accusing him of alleging that he was trying to cause anarchy in the country by inciting the peace-loving Zambians to behave in a disorderly manner and civil disobedience. Dr. Membe had alleged that the same statements were made by the IG during a press briefing. The opposition leader had requested the DPP to grant him powers to privately prosecute the case, but his proposal has been rejected in public interest. Meanwhile, Dr. Membe could not cease to utilize the opportunity at the court ground and point out some of the things he terms as failure by the ruling party.
This type of governing is not a recipe for governing well. It's a recipe for disaster. And I urge the Zambian people to open their eyes, see what is happening in their country for themselves, analyze it for themselves, and come to their own conclusions. And if analyzed properly, seen properly, they will come to the same conclusion that in 2026, these relatives of ours, these friends of ours must go. Babwele Sanjala, Valete Ichipoe Muchalo, what are they there for? What is the price of meal today? What is the price of fuel today?
Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Lusaka businessman Shadrach Kasanda and 3 others have pleaded not guilty to charges of obtaining money by false pretenses and money laundering. This is in a matter in which Kasanda is charged with 1 count of money laundering and 4 counts of obtaining money by false pretense. Kasanda, 33, is jointly charged with Dominic Twinjika, Treasure Malandala, also businessmen, and Wawashi Mining Limited. The accused denied the charges Friday morning when the matter came up before Magistrate Kawama Mwafuli. According to court records, it is alleged in the first count that Dominic Twinjika, between November 1, 2020 and December 30, 2020, obtained $9,045 from Anton Russell by falsely pretending that it was for storage and transportation of cobalt, when in fact not. In the second count, Twinjika, Malandala, Kasanda, and Luwawashi Mining Limited on the same date obtained $72,160 United States dollars from Anton Russell by falsely pretending that they had 82 kilograms of gold for sale. In fact, note allegations in the sixth count are that Kasanda, Twinjika, Malandala, and Luwawashi Mining Limited on the said dates did acquire and use $522,165.40, knowing the same to be proceeds of crime. The matter has been adjourned to the 16th and 17th of October 2023 for commencement of trial. The Lusaka Magistrates Court has upheld a 2-year jail sentence slapped on former Minister of Community Development and Social Services, Emerine Kabanshi. The former cabinet minister was in 2020 sentenced to 2 years imprisonment by then Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Lamek Mwale after he found her guilty of mismanagement of social cash transfer funds. However, Ms. Kabanshi appealed the lower court's judgment. During this time, the convict was granted bail pending appeal. The ruling by the court this afternoon means the convict will commence serving her 2-year jail term. In this case, Ms. Kabanshi challenged her conviction in a case she was found guilty of failing to comply with the law and applicable procedure. In her 3 grounds of appeal, Kabanshi said Lusaka Judge Lamek Mwale, who was then Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate, erred in law and fact when he found that her office was tasked with management and administration of the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. She said the trial court erred in law and fact when it found her guilty on both counts against the weight of evidence on record. Kabanshi further stated that Judge Mwale erred in law and fact when he found that she willfully failed to comply with the law and applicable procedure or guidelines relating to procurement by extending the scope of coverage between ZAMPOS and the ministry to include 3 provinces and 2 districts on the Copperbelt province on the social cash transfer program and re-engaging ZAMPOS as the payment service provider for the social cash transfer program after the contract was terminated. This is Camnet Television Main News. We take our first commercial break. Join us for more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RANGLES, your smart irrigation partner.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those that have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The University of Lusaka has proposed the formulation of a judicial council which will help the Ministry of Justice improve oversight in the operations of the judiciary. Lecturer in the School of Law, MWENYA, says the Judicial Council is important in promoting the independence of the judiciary. Speaking during a public lecture on the rule of law Friday, University of Lusaka Vice Chancellor Professor Pinalo Chifuanakeni challenged the students to use the law to the benefit of society. Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Justice Michael Musonda has condemned the killing of 2 people in MUMBWA district by an irate mob during a riot after information went round that a person had been killed in a suspected ritual murder. More in this report.
In a world where chaos can look just around the corner, the rule of law and public order stand as the steward guardians of civilization. In a bid to shape understanding and foster development, University of Lusaka organized a public lecture on the rule of law and public order, which saw lecturers from the School of Law in their presentation call for the formulation of a judicial council to champion the independence of the judiciary in the country. In their presentation during the lecture on Friday, 15 September 2023, Untitled and MWENYA highlighted the need to promote independence of the judiciary for justice to prevail in the country.
These varying conditions lead to a lack of consistency, which inevitably lead to unfairness. purpose is what exists either, and justice merely becomes a concept that we discuss and debate and not act on. A negative or positive impact on judicial independence. Lastly, just to give a few suggestions on how we can promote judicial independence in our country. Firstly, the participation of judges and magistrates in the election of the head of the judiciary. And secondly, it's important that the judiciary should look into the institutional management of the social media and the media pressures. And as well as creation of judicial councils like in other countries. Judicial councils should be created in order to replace the oversight role of the Ministry of Justice and to safeguard judicial independence.
University of Lusaka Vice-Chancellor Professor Pinalo Chifanakeni challenged the student to use the law to champion for a good cause in society.
As we continue our journey towards excellence, I urge students to remain committed to upholding these principles and to use their legal education for the betterment of society. Together, we can ensure that the rule of law remains steadfast to foster public order, stability, good governance, and an enabling business development for generations to come.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Justice Michael Msonda State Council condemned the mob killing of 2 businessmen in MUMBWA, explaining that mob justice stifles the rule of law and public order in the country.
Those things which happened in MUMBWA are totally unacceptable. Because if people are allowed to do what happened in MUMBWA in relation to supposed wrongs, the country is going to descend into a state of anarchy and lawlessness.
The Deputy Chief Justice also called on the citizens to take an interest in the country's law in order for the rule of law and public order to prevail over their expectations.
All human rights, the right of freedom of living, as our colleague here very clearly articulated, these rights are also what we call the human rights, the fundamental rights of freedom. That's so important.
During the lecture, the university also motivated students by awarding some students who took part in a moot competition in Ghana and Washington, D.C. for their exceptional performance. Nelson Zulu, for Camnet News, Chongwe.
Forum for African Women Educationalists of Zambia, FAWEZA, has called on the government to enact into law the re-entry policy. FAWEZA Executive Director Kosten Kanchele says this will compel all duty bearers to re-enter all the girls that want to go back to school after giving birth, especially those in grant-aided schools which do not administer re-entry after pregnancy. Mr. Kanchele states that this will address the issue of early marriages among young girls, which has been on the rise due to girls not being able to go back to school. He has also noted the need to sensitize the communities about the re-entry policy, especially in rural areas, as many of them are ignorant about it. The re-entry policy was launched in 1997 to enable girls who get pregnant to take maternity leave and return to school after giving birth. The Department of Community Development in Chilanga District has given out 102 goats to 34 households under the Alternative Livelihood Intervention Ali program in Shampule area in Chilanga District. District Community Development Officer Lina Kalimokwa says the Ali program is aimed at helping vulnerable but viable households to improve their nutrition and income generation. She was speaking at the handover event in Shampule community within Chilanga District. Details in the following report.
Government has continued uplifting the living standards of people, especially in rural areas, through various empowerment programs. The Department of Community Development has handed over 102 goats to 34 vulnerable but viable households in Shampule area in Chilanga District. District Community Development Officer Lina Kalimukwa explains.
102 goats are being handed over to 34 households. So these 102 goats will be given to 34 households, and each of these beneficiary 34 households will be getting 3 goats. Of the 3 goats, 2 will be she goats and 1 will be he goats. These 34 households, beneficiaries, are expected to pass on the offsprings of these goats to the next group or the next cycle of beneficiaries.
Chilanga District Commissioner David Cheleni took the opportunity to explain the vision of government to the local people.
So that pakushika chaka ili 2030 at least not wabola manda wabona kwamba abantu bakalaka botu manda chincha wikalo bwa chincha ma families bantu bonse bakalaka botu kwamba yonse yitu choba yanda nanga menda onse yirika botu manda lika botu okay shakuria yonse shirika bo.
The beneficiaries had this to say.
Tiba basebenza chifupa vinangu sitenzo viona manja patambo viona so tingaongezikomo kuli mulungu na beve kuti abapereke kusogolo tikazienda nabo tikazichita vamene ivi vamene wala ndira ona vamene uzapereka bana ku skulu vamene uzazitandizira kulima jambuzi kabala muntu muitana uja vamene abwera kulimira manje ngati wamba kudya nishu uzazitandizira chani.
The veterinary officer had this reminder for the recipients.
Imwe mafamasi bantu imwe mukumbukira tinapita mulima trainings tinamipunzisani musungira mbuzi tinamipunzisani motesera mbuzi tinamibuzani kuti mbuzi zifunika kuzisunga bwino sitifuna mairo mazo tikambera ati mbuzi bachita bwanji batibera monga mwamene bakambira ba officer motesera mbuzi munapunzira na vinangu vakudya na viona vilichape pamene pano muvirekerera simufuna na kuvisunga bwino vonse pamene tiona ma stocks ayali around this area. Let us collect them tienti yatenge tipange ijabu so that mbuzi zingalina vakudya.
It is hoped that more people will benefit from the empowerment program. Nkwetoka Pekele, Zanis, Chilanga.
We'll take our second and final break. Join us for more news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RANGLES, your smart irrigation partner.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, the current extent of the devastation caused by floods in eastern Libya is becoming apparent. The provisional death toll stood at 11,300, Secretary General of the Libyan Red Crescent said late Thursday, September 14. Untold numbers are buried under mud and debris that includes overturned cars and chunks of concrete. The collapse of 2 dams in the aftermath of torrential rains caused the most destruction. The permanent representative of Libya to the United Nations referred to the catastrophe as something never seen in Libya before. Here's a roundup of news beyond our borders.
The
provisional death toll of floods in eastern Libya soared to reach 11,300 people, the Secretary General of the Libyan Red Crescent said Thursday. The collapse of 2 dams in the aftermath of torrential rain earlier this week caused the most destruction. The permanent representative of Libya to the United Nations referred to the catastrophe as something never seen before in Libya.
So I cannot really confirm the final numbers, but it's really a high level of magnitude, and I'm afraid we will hear really large numbers, maybe even more than what has been confirmed so far.
Libya's Eastern Administration in Benghazi approved a budget of nearly $2 billion to help flood-affected areas. The World Health Organization said it was releasing funds to support Libya in addition to 28 metric tons of trauma surgical emergency supplies due to arrive on Friday. International aid is progressively arriving as local administrations continue search efforts.
Thousands of Sudanese have found refuge in Aswan in neighboring Egypt, helping to revitalize the tourist season in the southern city where they are trying to forget the horrors of war. After fleeing the fighting, many Sudanese made their way to Cairo, while others like Hisham Ali remained in Aswan. Having found an apartment for his family, this former civil servant now wants his children to enjoy their new city. We fled Sudan because of the war. We left Khartoum toward Madani, then we moved to Haifa, where we stayed for some time before heading to Aswan. Aswan is beautiful. Its people are kind. I've taken my family for a fun day out. I want them as much as they can to forget the days of war and bombs and airstrikes. We fled Khartoum 3 months ago. We went through hard times in Soba amid strikes, artillery fire. I was pregnant and there were no hospitals left in Khartoum. So we fled to other provinces and stayed there for some time. Then I had to leave for Egypt as I was pregnant. Every winter, Aswan residents see waves of foreign tourists arriving to bask on the banks of the Nile and to enjoy the mild temperatures. But what they didn't expect was the influx of refugees and the opportunities they brought. I've been doing this job for 5 years. My boat is called Al-Muhra. Since our Sudanese brothers came from the war, work has started to get better. There's been more work in tourism. But not all Sudanese are arriving to a warm reception in Egypt. In Cairo, they complain of discrimination, crooked landlords who inflate rents and racism. Gabon's National Pension Fund is where the country's workers place their hopes of a decent retirement after toiling for years. But during ousted President Ali Bongo's regime, the fund had stopped making payments to pensioners, triggering frustration. There's a new air of optimism since the army took over. This woman has spent 2 years waiting to get her deceased husband's pension. I am a widow, but I haven't yet received even 100 francs of my husband's pension. And the illnesses only bother me. I can't even pay for my children's schooling. When the time comes, my heart beats fast because I don't know what to explain to them. The head of the army junta has vowed to overhaul the pension system. Because of delayed gratuity payment, retired workers are forced to use their meager savings, borrow or beg to survive. I applied for an old age pension, but since then, until now, I still haven't had a favorable response. I go back and forth, and since then I haven't even received an acknowledgement of receipt. So I can still claim to have something, which is why I'm here this morning to follow up. Well, it used to be difficult because some people died, others retired, and they waited years to receive their pensions. 2, 3, 4, even 5 years. They didn't get their money. And now, with the new government, we hope that things will change. Romaric MWENYA, Inspector General of the National Social Security Fund, says he's aware of the suffering adding that the agency is working to expedite payments. So it was imperative for the state to step in and try to get governance back on track, to improve governance in order to get the CNSS back on track. So I think these decisions had already been taken. They have been amplified by the president of the transition, who wants results quickly because he cares about social protection. I think that the various stakeholders are now working hard to resolve the problem. Life expectancy in Gabon was 66 years old in 2021, according to World Bank figures.
And now in sports news, Power Dynamos coach MWENYA CHIPEPO has expressed confidence that the Zambian champions can triumph against the SIMBA Sports Club of Tanzania, where the teams meet in the first leg of the 2023-2024 CAF Champions League second round match on Saturday. Speaking at a pre-match press conference, CHIPEPO declared his charges ready, saying the Zambian champions have nothing to fear going into the first leg on Saturday. He notes that it has been long since the team participated in the CAF Champions League, but will not let the statistics demotivate the team to beat SIMBA. CHIPEPO says the team played a good game against African Stars and are organized to face SIMBA, which is equally a good side. Dynamos captain Godfrey MWENYA admits that meeting SIMBA SC will not be easy, but a positive result is attainable. MWENYA says the weight the team is carrying is huge, but it is up to the team to carry it. The match will kick off at 15 hours at the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Ndola. And still in sports news, Zambia Sugar PLC has joined other stakeholders in wooing support for Muza Football Club by sponsoring 400 residents of Mazabuka to cheer the club as it faces Diables Noyas of Congo-Brazzaville in a match Confederations Cup match to be played at the National Hero Stadium in Lusaka this Sunday. Zambia Sugar Corporate Affairs Director Eugene Chungu disclosed that the sugar company will consider supporters in various districts to enable them cheer the Mazabuka outfit. He explains that the sponsorship includes tickets and free transport to and from Lusaka. Chungu has further indicated that Zambia Sugar PLC is proud of FC Muza's historical achievement in the CAF Confederations Cup and Domestic League. He says that the company will continue sponsoring the club through making available the Nakambala Stadium, which is currently the club's home venue. Meanwhile, FC Muza Chief Executive Officer Joe Kabika has paid glowing tribute to Zambia Sugar Company for the gesture, adding that this will go a long way in filling up the National Heroes Stadium. Earlier in the year, Zambia Sugar sponsored 600 FC Muza fans to watch the historical ABSA final between FC Muza and Forest Rangers. We come to the end of our news tonight. Before we go, the headlines once again. Intra-party wrangles deepen in PF as Miles Sampa and his supporters storm the party secretariat. 27 people arrested as MUMBWA riots spread to ITEZHI district. Emerin Kawanshi begins to serve her 2-year jail sentence. In international news, death toll reaches 11,300 in Libya floods. And in sports news, Power Dynamos coach MWENYA CHIPEPO confident ahead of SIMBA face-off. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Ezekiel 18 verse 32. For I take no pleasure in the death of anyone, declares the sovereign Lord. Repent and live. Thank you for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Bye-bye.